Hey, welcome to the Homemade Songwriter. I'm Matt. Today I want to talk about the super interesting topic of music theory. But don't worry, before you make any judgments, this video is not going to be boring. We're just going to be talking about what it is and how much do you really need to know? How much theory knowledge do you need to be able to write music? So to answer this question of how much do we need to actually know, I think we need to start with what is music theory. According to the internet, music theory is the study of the concepts and compositional methods involved in the creation of music. So this covers everything from note relationships to intervals to scales, chords, rhythm, time signatures, keys, everything. It's basically the tools that we use to explain and to speak the language of music. So, what does that have to do with songwriting? Well, songs are just music and language. When we write songs, we're trying to communicate an idea or a thought or a message to the listener. And just like with grammar, if you don't know the rules or you use the rules incorrectly, that can sometimes lead to a confusing message or worse. So being able to understand the rules of music theory gives you the tools to be able to communicate efficiently and effectively. Another way to think about it would be like if you're a painter, it would be the more theory you know would be like having more paintbrushes, more kinds of paintbrushes, or more colors in your arsenal to be able to make a painting with. So the more you know, the more complex of a painting you can create. But, and let me be very clear, this is a very big but, 1T. Complex doesn't equal better, right? I mean, is complex language better than simple language? Or is a complex painting better than a simple painting? I would argue no, because at the end of the day, when we write songs, we're trying to communicate something to the listener. And in my opinion, if you're communicating something to somebody, simpler is better. I mean, you can see this a lot with people who have studied music theory and went to college for music and stuff, and they know like a ton about music and music theory. Sometimes that can be a hindrance to them. And that's because they have a harder time, dumbing it down. If you only speak in 5-syllable words, Harvard education style, eloquent speaking, then you're going to limit your audience because you've just kind of alienated everyone who doesn't talk like that. But knowing no music theory can in some ways be just as alienating, because if you don't know any music theory, you might just write a song with the only 2 chords that you know, right? Because you don't know what other chords are a possibility. You don't know what other chords are in the key. So you know your 2 chords and you write a song with those 2 chords, and then you write every song with just those 2 chords because that's all you really know. Maybe you capo it around, but it gets pretty boring. So the amount of music theory you need is really kind of a tailored case-by-case basis, in my opinion, because it depends a lot on what music are you making. What are you trying to do with your music? What message are you trying to communicate? And maybe even what genre of music are you creating? Because I'll tell you right now, if you're writing jazz music, you're going to need a lot more music theory knowledge than the average songwriter. I just don't think you can intelligently create jazz without having a pretty complex knowledge of the inner workings of music. However, if you're going to create rock music, you're going to need a different level or a different amount of theory knowledge than the jazz guy, who's going to need a different amount of knowledge from the classical writer and from the folk writer and from the singer-songwriter and from the pop artist. It all just kind of depends. And it's really easy to get into this mental race of more is better, right? If I know more than you, then I'm better than you. But I mean, it really just matters to what the genre, what serves the song best, right? I mean, who can say that jazz is better than rock music? Or that folk music is better than country music? They're different. And they have different needs and different requirements. So if you're a beginner songwriter, you're going to learn music theory as you go, just naturally. The more songs you learn and the more songs you write, you're naturally going to figure out certain things, and unintentionally you're going to be learning music theory. But you don't need any to start. You don't need any knowledge to start. You can just start creating and see what happens and follow your ear and trust your instincts. But once that gets boring or you've run out of paths to chase down, then I think it's a good idea to expand your knowledge a little more to give yourself some more tools to create more. So my advice to you is to make an effort to know as much as you can about music theory, but don't push it so far to where music and creation starts to feel like school. Because at the end of the day, this is supposed to be fun. We're creating music because we love it, right? So write and create, and then let that natural curiosity lead to new levels of mastery. The last point I'll make is this. In music and in songwriting, you learn the rules to break them. Because again, I've said this a ton on this channel, songwriting is art. It's not science. So yeah, learn what chords go in a key, or learn what the major scale is, or what the modes are, but then figure out how to bend and break those rules too, There's ways you can steal a chord from outside the key and bring it into your song, and it adds a new flavor. In a lot of ways, songwriting is like cooking in that aspect, right? You're following a recipe, but you can throw something else in there and see if you like it. If it suits your taste, then hey, you're the one that's eating the meal. Enjoy it. But don't be scared of music theory. At the end of the day, it's just a tool to help you do whatever you want to do. Speaking of help, if you want a little kickstart on chord progressions, we've got a chord progression cheat sheet. That'll kind of give you a basic underlying music theory of chord progressions, how they're created, and how you can create your own, as well as giving you some of our favorite progressions to start writing from. So feel free to download that. It's free, and I think it'll be a big help to you. But that's it for this video. Keep writing. We'll see you in the next one.